Good morning, everyone. Hello. It is Wednesday, and I'm your host, Linda Jordan, with the LRJ Coaching and Business Solutions and the Linda Jordan Show. So, what the name I've got so far. If you have a better title, please let me know. So, happy Wednesday. And today I have a special for you. I have the fabulous Nikki Rogers. And so I'm going to bring her in, and Nikki will give you a little bit about her, what she's doing, how she transitioned from corporate into being her own boss. And so, for those of you that are considering, making a transition or in the process of making a transition, then you really want to listen to Nikki and hear what she has to say. She's going to bring some great nuggets for you out today. So, without further ado, I'll bring in Miss Nikki Rogers. Good morning, Nikki.
Good morning, Linda. How are you?
I am doing well. It's not so sunny today as yesterday, but it's still a beautiful day.
Yes.
Awesome. So, thank you so much for joining me today on my show. And so, I didn't do an intro, so I'd like you to introduce yourself to the audience so they know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, Linda. As Linda said, my name is Nikki Rogers, and I am the founder and owner of the Bladen Group, which is a boutique management consulting and business coaching firm. I'm based in the DC area, although I'm originally from North Carolina, so I still claim that as home. And in addition to the work I do for government and large commercial organizations, I also work really closely with small business owners to help them develop sustainable businesses. So not only go into business, but actually stay in business. And I work to help folks develop the mindset, the strategy, and connections they need in order to be successful in business.
Awesome. Awesome. Good deal. So, I know that you used to work in corporate like myself, and you've transitioned out of corporate. So tell us a little bit about how that transition occurred and, what some of the challenges that you faced.
Yes. I had always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but the more education you get, the more degrees you get, the more promotions, accolades at work, the more comfortable you get in your job. So I had gotten very comfortable. And unfortunately, what ultimately led to me going out on my own was that my mom passed away suddenly at the end of 2016. And so New Year's Day on New Year's Day 2017, instead of planning for New Year's Day dinner, we were actually in the funeral home planning for my mom's funeral.
So sorry.
Yeah, thank you. And later that day, I was looking through some of her paperwork, and I saw that she had been working on a business plan. Like she had retired like 2 years prior, and she was working on a business plan for the business that she always wanted to own. Like she always wanted a shoe store.
Oh.
And she had started planning for that. And when I found that paperwork, I was like, you know what? Life is too short. Like, why am I doing something that I don't really love? Like I'm good at it, but I don't love it, right? I was like, life is too short. And it took me a while. It took me about 16 months before I actually quit, like resigned from my job. But during that time, I was like, well, one, I was going through that grieving process and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And ultimately I was like, you know what? I just need to figure this out and jump out there. Now I did plan. So I started like saving money and doing some of the things so that I could be, in a good financial place so that when I left, I wasn't going to be struggling. So I started planning and saving money. So I would say that's the thing that everyone should do, start saving that money. So you give yourself some leeway as you leave. But when I resigned, the day I called my boss and like, oh, I'm quitting. And I gave a long notice. The same day I said, I'm quitting, that afternoon, someone called me and said, could you come facilitate a strategic planning workshop? And that was my first job. So I was like, when I let go of like this corporate life, like the universe showed up. It was like, here, this is what you need to be doing. And then leading up to me actually transitioning, then it started being like, oh, we really need you. What will it take for you to stay?
Right.
And I was like, nope, I'm not staying. And then they were like, we really need you. Can you come back and be a consultant for us? And I was like, oh, I can do that. So, and that was like my first client was my former employer. So, I mean, it was, I think it was about planning. It was about being intentional and being willing to walk away. And then all these other doors started to open.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, and so sorry to hear about your mom. My story is very similar. As I had breast cancer, and then, thinking that I'm ready to start a new transition, and my mom passed away. So we have some similar stories, but it allowed me to really think deep inside, what is my true purpose? And it was not working in corporate for the rest of my life. We all try to get that 30 years, and that's the way the way I was brought up and raised. But it's not always what God has for us, and so we have to be mindful. So as I talk about mindfulness, tell us about the mindset that you believe people really need to have when they're starting their own business or becoming their own CEO.
One is you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. So, I always say, there's comfort in being an employee, right? There's a steady paycheck, there's all the benefits, but I really personally believe you should be thinking about freedom.
Right.
So choose freedom over comfort. And so you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. But I think the three big things are having courage, having confidence, and curiosity. So I think those are the three C's. Courage to really be like, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
Like do the things that whatever you need to do in order to be able to take that leap. You're never going to not feel the fear. You're never going to be like, I'm totally ready. If you're totally ready, then you're not thinking big enough.
True.
You're just not. Like this is jump out of the plane. Have a parachute, but jump out of the plane, right? Like just go. So you have to have that courage. And part of that courage is really knowing who you are, being honest about who you are, being honest about where you are, being honest about where you want to go, and being able to state that, like whatever your big goals are. And then, having the courage to ask for help.
Right.
So sometimes people are afraid to ask for help. So I think that's the courage part. The confidence part is knowing that you can do the thing that you want to do. You have everything, you are resourceful enough to learn, do, or bring someone in order to do what you need to do. So be confident that you're going to meet that goal. If you say you want to build a business, be confident that you can do it. Be confident that you're going to find the people who you need to help you. Be confident that you're going to, find the clients. Just be confident. Just know what you know. In regards to what you can achieve. And I think the curiosity part is like, just ask questions, read I read a lot. I read articles, I read books, I read, I read, posters. I read everything. So, and listen to a lot of different people, until you figure out like who appeals to you and like where you want to go. But just be curious about opportunities, be curious about different perspectives, points of view. Just be curious, because then that's how you're going to make your own way.
Right. Yeah. I love those three C's: confidence, courage, and curiosity. And we all struggle with that on a daily basis, whether you're doing a business or in relationships or with our children. But I love those three: curious, confidence, and courage. I think those are three powerful words. So for those that are listening, write that down. Those are three C's that we all need to be mindful of and we need to put into action. But I want to transition now into this other portion of what you do that I absolutely love, registering with the federal and state governments to do business. there are lots of opportunities out there, and you have taught me so much, and thank you so much for what I've learned from you. But the audience, they're probably thinking, well, how does that happen? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so first of all, the US government in particular is the largest customer in the US, the largest customer. So if you're not registered with the government, you are missing out on a lot of opportunity. And the government buys everything. So if you're like, oh, I do nails, or or I sell ice cream. I mean, you're just thinking like, oh, the government doesn't buy. Yes, they do. They buy everything. Everything. So let them tell you no. Don't tell yourself no. So, I think the biggest thing is you have to have a legitimate business, meaning you have to have a separate business bank account. You have to have an EIN. You have to have a DUNS number. And, for those of you who are like, what is this? I can tell you more if you want to, but these are basic things that you need to do in order to register with the government. So have a legitimate business, right? And, but it's not that hard. So this is one of the things about being curious and being courageous, because it's some paperwork, it's reading through the fine print on a website, but it is not that hard. And it's something that you can do yourself. It is, for me, I'm like, I can help you because I'm going to save you hundreds of dollars, because you're not going to pay someone to do things that are literally free for you to do. And also there's thousands of dollars that you're going to gain, because again, once you are registered as a government contractor, there are so many opportunities out there available for you. Now, that doesn't mean like the government just comes and says, hey, here's a contract. Right. There's some more work to be done after that. But, this is the first step of getting registered, and you can do it at the state level. So, start with getting registered as a vendor at the state level and getting those certifications, and then move up to getting registered as a federal contractor. But these are things that are very doable, no matter how small, no matter how large you are, no matter how much time you've been in business. Like, these are things that you can do to just kind of set yourself on the path, again, to create that sustainable business.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And for those that are listening, I didn't know. And then I found Nikki, and she was like, oh, no, don't pay someone, because, when you first look, and that's the first thing that pops up. And I thought, well, yeah, it didn't dawn on me to check to make sure I was on the right site, government GOV, but the site looked identical. So hats off to you for things that you do and saving me some money. Because there are others like myself that, think that we know what we're doing, and we don't. Mm-hmm. And, we have to be curious and be confident in what we're doing, and then reach out to someone like I did with you to say, hey, is this really the way it's supposed to work? So for those that are listening, definitely connect with Nikki, because she is an expert in that when it comes to that. So as we transition now to talk about your business, and we know that you do a whole host of different things, but as individuals go into becoming their own boss, or they've started their business, they're struggling, everyone needs a coach or a mentor, but they need someone they can go to. So tell us why business coaches is important in order for people to be successful, because oftentimes people think, well, I don't need a coach, but they really do. Every athlete has a coach, is what I tell people. The best athletes have coaches, and without coaches, they're not successful. So give the audience a little bit about your taste around the importance of having a business coach.
Yeah, I think just what you said, Linda, is so key and important. The most successful athletes, so if we think about coach in the purest term of the word, the most successful athletes have coaches. Serena Williams has a coach, and probably multiple, but there's one that they talk about in particular.
Right.
And, there are things that you are doing in your business that you don't realize are, you have blind spots, right? And there's also things that you can take advantage of and do much better. So the importance of a coach is being able to have that almost impartial view, and they have an external view, and they're looking at what you're doing and being able to give you feedback, give you, exercises that you can do, help stretch you. Because again, you can get real comfortable and you're like, okay, I'm making, $10,000 a month. Your coach is going to be like, well, you really could be making 20. Just give a little bit more effort and you could double your revenue. Your coach could be like, well, are you looking at your numbers? Because I think one of the things that people tend to not want to do is look at their numbers, unless they are finance people. You don't want to look at the numbers. But when you look at the numbers, one, there's information that becomes clear. There's trends. There's things that you can predict. There's information that you say, oh, when I send out an email to this group of people, 50% of them are going to buy something from me. 20% are going to book a call. So if you're a service provider, every time I send out an email, 20% of these people book a call, and then that results in some business. When I put this type of post up, I get all this engagement, and those folks turn into potential business partners. The numbers, and the numbers are not just dollars, it's all the data that you have constantly coming at you. A coach can help you think about that in a different way. It's not just noise, it's not just information, but it also actually becomes data that helps you with decision making. A coach can help you with your decision making process and making sure that what you're doing is repeatable and that you're getting the results that you want. And so I think it's really important. And then the other thing, the coach helps you get out of your own way.
Right.
So some of this is psychological. Some of this is you revert to the things that you've always done, and the things, again, I keep coming back to this idea of being comfortable, and you have to want freedom more than comfort. But people, I think a coach just helps you get out of your own way. So when you're having that bad day and you're like, I had this talk today and I don't think it went well. Well, the coach can help you say, well, what really did go well? What didn't go well? And what are you going to change for next time? So you don't get stuck in that, oh, woe is me. I think as entrepreneurs, you're going to have a lot of great days, and then you're going to have a lot of days where you're like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? And I think a coach can help you push through those valleys a lot quicker and help you stay, help your peaks be higher and higher. So I think that's really what's important to coach. For me, I've worked with a lot of different coaches, but my current coach, she pushes me, like pushes. But pushes based on what I've said. So we talked about my goals, and she is holding me accountable to that.
Yeah.
And asking, like, how much effort am I putting forward? So again, if we go back to, your coach watching you play a sport, your coach knows when you're doing 50%, and they know when you're doing 100%.
Yeah.
And so I think it's always having that person there who is all about what you want and who is pushing you to be the best that you can be.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Very true. My daughter played travel softball, and the days that she didn't practice, you could tell. And so she, each time she would do that, then she finally realized, I've got to be on my game 100%. And so, in life, we have to be on our game 100%. So, Nikki, what do you say to those people that are listening that, they know they need a coach, but they're like, I don't know what to do, what to say, or where to look. What do you say to those individuals that struggle with knowing they need a coach, but not sure what to do?
Yeah, I think start having conversations with people. So if you know you need a coach, like, be honest around, like, what are the areas that you need coaching on? And then start having conversations with people. Reach out to folks like Linda, reach out to folks like me, and like have this 15-minute consult calls and see who's going to be the right fit for you.
Right.
You might have to talk to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different people, but you'll get a sense of what their style is and are they going to be the coach for you? Because everyone's not the coach for you. I would also say, if you are you know, ask questions of the coach to see if they've done what you're trying to do.
Mm.
So if they've never built a 6-figure business or they've never built a 7-figure business, they can't really help you. Like, they know it theoretically, but they can't really help you. They can maybe get you, part of the way there, kind of from the beginning stages. But if you really want to achieve your goals, you need to be working with people who have done the thing that you want to do.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of people that do need coaches. They know they need it, but there's a fear of failure of, someone's going to be holding them accountable. So they like, okay, I don't want to do it just yet. But we all need someone to talk to or to share information with, or most importantly, to hold ourselves accountable. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's transition into talking about, once people have a coach, then they have to have some good habits that they need to consistently do so that they are successful, at the same time of getting rid of some of those bad habits. So talk to the audience a little bit about, some of the habits they need to be considering, as well as removing from their daily task. Or what are some of the things that you had to do?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is being intentional. So being purposeful in what you're doing. So really looking at, do your current habits serve the life that you want, that you say you want? So I think being very, being honest with yourself about what you want to do. So I say, my favorite phrase is, everybody wants to be Beyonce, but everybody doesn't want to put in Beyonce work.
Yeah.
Beyonce works hard. I can't even aspire to be that, because like that level of effort and energy, like that's never going to be what I'm going to do. But I can put that type of energy and effort into some other things maybe. But I think it's one is being honest about what you want, being intentional about what you're willing to do in order to get there, like what you're willing to give up, those types of things. I think the things that you have to stop is stop making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Stop giving up your power. So when I hear someone say, "Oh, I have to do this," or "Someone made me do this," and I always would say, "No, you're choosing."
Right.
You're choosing to do it because whatever you're being asked to do is going to give you something that you feel is worth doing whatever you're doing for. But but also that's comfort. And I keep coming back to this, like, stop choosing comfort over freedom. If you really want freedom, if you really want independence, if you really want to achieve these goals that you set for yourself, like, stop choosing comfort.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And sometimes people have, limiting beliefs about what they're capable of doing. And so what are your thoughts around people overcoming those self-limiting beliefs that prevent them from being successful?
one of the things is uncover the source of it. So is it coming from you, or is it coming from external, from external parties? I think affirmations. So start talking to yourself positively. Start, borrowing the positivity of others, and start surrounding yourself and creating an environment that allows you to thrive. And you might have to do that for a while. But then you have to actually start doing the things that you feel uncomfortable doing. So, if it's about exercise, like, start walking 15 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's going to turn into 30 minutes. Then that's going to turn into 45 minutes. Just take the first step. Don't worry about what's going to happen afterward, because once you take the first step, you're like, oh, that's how that works. You're like, that's so much easier than I thought, because sometimes I think the fear of something or the idea of something is so much bigger than what it is. But when you take that first step, you're out there and you realize, like, oh, this is not so bad. Like, the dinosaur didn't come, chomp my head off. It's like, because I think some of this is very primordial fear, right? Like you're afraid of the external things that are going to happen, and like it doesn't happen, And I think fear just creates these monsters in your head. It's like the monster in the closet, right? And then you're like, you shine the light on it. So I think it's understanding, like, what is the fear? Where does it come from? Is this something that your family always told you? I think especially in business, people like, oh, you don't want to do that. Like, that's too risky. That's too, it's all these things that people tell you. And I say, I think it's worth the risk, right? Because you can generate great wealth. You can generate great achievements. You can impact so many more people by doing what you're called to do. Mm-hmm. And so why are you sitting on that?
Yeah.
And you can always help someone else. No matter where you are, you're further ahead than someone else.
True.
So you can help them. So just start. Try one thing. Yeah. Try one thing. That's what I would say to anyone. Try one new thing and realize it's not as bad as you think it is. And then keep trying other things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that fear, I don't know if it's fear of failure in some cases, or is it more of the fear of success? And so we all struggle with that as individuals in, like I said, in life and business and everything that we do. So thank you so much for sharing that. Earlier, you mentioned that you love to read. So tell our audience, what are some really good books for them to read for those that are, looking to be an entrepreneur, or maybe they just need some encouragement so they can build up their confidence and be curious? What would you recommend?
So my favorite book that I buy and give to everyone is called You Are Badass by Jen Shintaro. I love this book. It is like, if you just need that kick in the pants and like, from rags to riches story. Like I love her book. So that is one book. I also read a lot of fiction. So like I love Alice Walker, Octavia Butler, these, because, and Toni Morrison, because those are books that like feed your imagination. So I love to read like a great fiction book at the end of the day. Like that's how I like go to bed. Like I read 10 minutes at the end of the day. So I always say make it well-rounded and do some different, read a lot of different genres. Some other business-related books. There's a book called Wealth Can't Wait that is by a couple of, they're real estate moguls, but it is really around creating this urgency around like why you just can't wait to be wealthy. And a book I'm reading now is called Thou Shalt Prosper, and it's by a rabbi. And in it, he talks about kind of the Jewish approach to wealth and wealth building. And so I read a lot of different things, but those are the top ones that are on my list right now.
Okay, good. Yeah. Reading is fundamental. We all don't take advantage of, reading. And, I can't remember whoever said it, but, there's an old saying that said, if you want someone not to know something, put it in a book, because we as individuals just don't have the habit of reading. And so I need to read more. My goal is to try to read at least 35 books this year, but, being in school, I'm reading anyway. But reading is so, so important because, once you get that knowledge, no one can take it away from you. So thank you for sharing that. So for those that are listening, check out that book. It's called You're a Badass, right?
Yeah.
I need to get that myself to read that. So as we wrap up, Nikki, what else would you like to share with the audience regarding you as a coach, as a entrepreneur? What words of advice would you leave the audience with?
Yeah, I would just say if you if you have the passion and the drive to be an entrepreneur, just do it. Just, go out and try it. There are people, I would say that there's a saying that the universe will conspire to help you and support you. So, just try it, make your declaration and say you're going to do it. And there will be all these opportunities that come to you. There will be the people who can help you. So don't be afraid to say it. And then don't be afraid to ask for help as you go through. Nobody goes through this alone. Nobody does this by themselves. Mm-hmm. And even those who you think are great and wonderful, when you start, you think they're doing such great things, and they are. But when you peel back the layer, they will talk about their team. Mm-hmm. Like Oprah has a coach. Martha Beck is her coach. Oprah has a coach. People have speech writers, people have, co-founders, co-authors, so don't think you have to go out here and do it by yourself. There are plenty of people who are here to help you, willing to help you, have the experience, skills, knowledge, and, certainly your best interests at heart. So, I would say go out there and try it, ask for help. And then, celebrate your wins. I think that's one thing we don't do enough.
No, we don't. We're so focused on trying to get there.
Yeah. So celebrate your wins. If you're starting a business, you're like, oh, I got my EIN today. Okay, that's a win because somebody else has not done that. Oh, I'm registered with the state. Somebody else has not done it. I opened my business bank account. Somebody else has not done that yet. And then when you're making your first 100,000, your first million, mm-hmm. celebrate that. Like celebrate all the accomplishments that you have along the way. Celebrate the people that you help. When you get your first client or your 50th client or your 100th client, celebrate that because you're having impact out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. So, Nikki, how would individuals get in contact with you? I have put your information in the chat, but, just share with them the best way to reach you and what if you have a giveaway or a link or anything of that nature.
Yes. So, best place to reach me is either on LinkedIn. And so you can just find me via Nikki Rogers, or on Instagram at Nikki Rogers Official. The other thing is to look out for my podcast, which is called Women Thriving in Business, and season 2 starts today.
Oh, wow.
So, you can check that out on Apple, Stitcher, or Spotify. So that's Women Thriving in Business podcast. And then I do also have a giveaway. I think I gave you the link, Linda. And it is it is for a strategy guide. So it's called Mind the Gap, which is goals, assessment, and plans. So it is a strategy guide. So if you're thinking about your business or just life in general, it is an easy to navigate guide on how to actually develop a strategy for your business or your life.
Awesome.
And that is a free giveaway. So just go to the link and you can download it for free.
Awesome. Great. So I have placed all of Nikki's links in the chat. So if you're interested in connecting with her, definitely get that Mind the Gap strategy guide. That sounds like something I need myself. But connect with her and also, listen to her podcast. She's got some great stuff out there. I was fortunate enough to be a guest on her show for the season 1, I believe.
Season 2. So you're coming up.
Oh, awesome. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. So definitely connect with her. And for those that didn't get to hear the entire interview, just, watch for the replay and do #replay. We love to know, who is listening after the show. So with that, Nikki, thank you so much for joining me today. You've shared some great nuggets with everyone. And for those, please, connect with Nikki, listen to her podcast. If you're looking for a business coach, connect with her. If you have questions about how to get federal and government contracts or how to set your business up for that, Nikki is the gal for that. So thank you so much for joining me today. And with that, everyone, have a fantastic day, and we will see you all next week.
Thank you, Linda. Take care.
All right.